All right, folks, buckle up. We're diving deep into a story this week that really hits home.
It's a tough one.
It is. Tragic, actually. A teenager gone because of an allergic reaction. And get this, it happened at school.
Yeah.
Makes you think, about allergies and who's responsible and how we can keep everyone safe, especially kids.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today.
You got it. We've got this news article here, details a case down in Florida, a real eye-opener, let me tell you. So let's jump right in, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay, so picture this. A 17-year-old girl, Atlantic Coast High School in Jacksonville. She had a severe nut allergy. We're talking serious stuff.
Right, life-threatening.
Exactly. And they knew it. The school knew.
Yeah.
It was all documented.
Part of her file.
Yep. Now, here's where things get messy. She's in class. Someone gives her baklava, told her it was nut-free. But guess what?
There were nuts in it?
Bingo. Pistachios, to be exact. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Thinking you're safe, and then bam, you find out you've just eaten something that could,
It's a nightmare scenario for anyone with a severe allergy. You're constantly on guard, having to trust others who understand and take it seriously.
Absolutely. And in this case, that trust was broken with devastating consequences.
And this is where the issue of responsibility comes into play. The school's responsibility to protect its students.
Right, like, did they do enough? I mean, the article says she told the staff right away, but get this, they didn't send her to the nurse.
Wait, what?
I know, right? It was a direct violation of her allergy plan, the one the school had on file.
Wow. I mean, that seems like a pretty big oversight.
Yeah, you would think so. And it raises some serious questions about their emergency protocols, like, what if this happened again?
It makes you wonder about the training, the awareness among staff, and the systems in place to handle these types of emergencies. Because with allergies, every second counts.
You're not kidding. So where do things go from here? This poor girl, not being sent to the nurse, decides to go buy some Benadryl on her own. Yeah, it's awful. She ends up going into anaphylactic shock right there at the pharmacy.
And that's a whole other can of worms.
It is, and we'll get to that in a minute. But to finish the story, this young girl, she ends up in a coma for 3 days before ultimately, she passes away.
It's just heartbreaking. A young life cut short because of something that arguably could have been prevented.
Exactly. And that's why her father is suing the school district. Negligence, they call it. He's seeking over $50,000 in damages. But honestly, no amount of money can bring his daughter back.
No, of course not. But it does bring up this whole legal aspect of allergies in schools. They have a duty of care to protect their students, especially those with known medical conditions.
Right. You can't just sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
And this case could set a precedent for future cases, especially when it comes to allergies and how schools respond.
Absolutely. This is why having clear protocols in place, training staff, immediate access to medication like epinephrine, it's all so important. And not just having these things in theory, but actually putting them into practice.
Because what good is a plan if no one knows how to follow it, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, you mentioned anaphylaxis. Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. So anaphylaxis, it's like an allergic reaction on overdrive.
Okay.
Your body freaks out.
Freaks out how? Like, what happens?
Well, it can affect different parts of your body, like your skin, breathing, even your heart. Hives, swelling, trouble breathing, your blood pressure can plummet. It's serious stuff.
So it's not just a little rash or sneezing.
No. It's a full-blown medical emergency.
And that's why they say every second counts, right?
Exactly. If someone's having an anaphylactic reaction, you need to act fast. Call 911 immediately. If there's an EpiPen available, use it. It can literally be the difference between life and death.
And that brings us back to this case. The father, he's questioning why 911 wasn't called sooner. I mean, she told them she had a nut allergy. She found pistachios in the food. Shouldn't that have been like an automatic 911 call?
Yeah, it's a valid question. And this whole situation, it really highlights the need for increased awareness, not just in schools, but everywhere.
Because it's not just up to the schools, right? It's on us, too, as individuals, to be informed and know what to do.
Exactly. We all need to understand the severity of allergies, how to recognize the signs of anaphylaxis, and how to respond effectively.
And honestly, I think a big part of that is just being empathetic, putting ourselves in the shoes of someone who lives with this fear every day.
Absolutely. The emotional toll of living with a severe allergy, it's immense. It affects everything you do, every social gathering, every meal. There's this constant anxiety, a fear of accidentally ingesting something that could be fatal.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And speaking of support, the father, he started a GoFundMe campaign.
Yes, yeah, to help with medical expenses and I think also to raise awareness.
It's really amazing how people have rallied around him. I saw that the campaign's already raised over $28,000.
That's incredible. It just goes to show that even in the face of such a tragedy, there's still so much compassion and a desire to help.
And hopefully this case, as tragic as it is, will serve as a wake-up call, a reminder that we need to do better, to be more informed, more prepared, and more supportive of those with allergies.
I hope so too. It's a lesson that none of us should have to learn the hard way.
So true. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap things up. But before we go, I just want to leave our listeners with a thought. What steps can each of us take in our own communities to make sure something like this never happens again? Think about it, talk about it, and let's work together to create a safer world for everyone.
Well said.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, folks.
See you next time.